welcome to CrimeDivers. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jill.
And welcome to today's episode.
Hello, everybody.
So, Jill, where in the world are we?
We're in the UK.
And your title?
Lured to her death. We've had a lured to his death in the past, so now we've got a lured to her death.
Okay. Shall we dive in?
Let's dive in. So, Brianna Ghey was a 16-year-old transgender girl. She was born on the 7th of November 2006 to parents Esther Ghey and Peter Spooner. She had an older sister called Alicia, and at the time of Brianna's death, her parents had separated and she had a stepdad called Wesley Powell. She lived in Birchwood, which is in Warrington in England, and she was in year 11 at Birchwood Community High School. She didn't actually attend the same lessons as most other pupils. She had been diagnosed with ADHD and autism, which her mum Esther said impaired her ability. Her mum Esther said impaired her ability to identify dangerous situations, and she also suffered with anxiety. Sorry, I just couldn't get that out there.
No, that was a bit of a hard one, wasn't it?
I think I malfunctioned there.
Yeah.
So because of her diagnosis, she had like one-on-one tutoring in what's called an inclusion room at school.
Okay.
So Brianna would often help young transgender girls safely and legally access transgender hormone therapy. She loved TikTok and she had 31,000 followers on there, where she would like mime and dance to all the the latest TikTok trends. Mm-hmm. She would also do videos about outfit of the day and like doing like makeup tutorials. Right, I don't know if I should be podcasting today. And she was actually really confident online, but way more than what she was in real life. Like in real life, she was quite shy and reserved and whatnot, but online she was really confident.
Right. Okay.
So Brianna became friends with a girl called Scarlett Jenkinson. Her mum is a teacher and her dad is a builder. She's got 3 older brothers and she had a stable, normal childhood. She had been to a different high school to Brianna, but when she was 11, she started using a knife to self-harm. She said that this was a coping mechanism to help deal with growing anxiety. And at school, she met a boy called Eddie Ratcliffe. He was also 11 when they met. And he was quiet and shy, but he and Scarlett became really close friends. Mm-hmm. His mum is a graphic designer. His dad is the manager of a truck company and also runs an amateur kickboxing gym. He has an older brother and a younger sister. Eddie was doing well at school. He was in all the top sets of his classes, and he was described as a role model who achieved top grades. And he does have autism, but that wasn't diagnosed until after this case.
Oh, okay.
In 2018, he competed at a kickboxing championship in Jamaica. So he was doing great in like all aspects of his life. He had a loving, stable home. He was doing great at school. He was doing his kickboxing. Mm-hmm. But Scarlett, she was starting to go downhill. As I said before, she'd started self-harming at age 11. Mm-hmm. She started watching horror movies at age 13, and these films would make her feel excited rather than sort of scared, like most people.
Also got a bit of a thrill from it.
Yeah. And maybe I should be watching these films with her friends and having fun of being like scared together. Like I get that, let's have a sleepover and we'll watch a scary movie.
Yeah.
All that kid, but she wasn't doing it like that. She was watching these films by herself. Right. And to be honest, like she didn't actually have many friends. Like she had Eddie, but she didn't really like other people, and they didn't like her either. So, and I'm not surprised because like she would joke about like dead babies, like she would send like strange text to Eddie, like telling him to stab your nan or shag your cat.
Okay.
Like
very disturbed.
Eddie just said that she wasn't really a normal person.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she does sound a bit strange.
Yeah. So Scarlett was expelled from her school on the 27th of September 2022 because she had taken cannabis gummies into school and like given them to other kids. One of the kids fell ill, and that's how the teachers found out, and she got kicked out. Mm-hmm. So that's why she ended up at the same school as Brianna.
Right.
So Scarlett and Eddie, they kept in touch. They would message each other all the time on Snapchat and WhatsApp, and would occasionally meet up to hang out, but not very often. Like, their main contact would be like over social media rather than in person. And when their messages were later looked at, like, most of them were like innocent, friendly chit-chat messages, but there were some talking about violence, torture and death, and they would talk about how they wanted to kill people that they knew.
Okay.
In one conversation, Eddie had told Scarlett that a boy they knew was getting too close to a girl that he liked, so they talked about killing him. So Eddie said, quote, "I thought he was your friend, but you seem pretty okay with me killing him." And Scarlett replied, quote, "He is my friend, but to be honest, he is my friend, to be honest, but I don't care if you kill him. I can do my best to help you too." And then she later added, quote, "Just ask me to do it and I will do it. I will try to kill him, wear a mask, use a voice changer and keep him away from," the girl's name. And Eddie replied, quote, "I'm going to let you decide what to do with him. If you kill him, I would like you to do as you see fit. Cut out his heart, cook it and feed it to your dog."
Okay.
So these messages,
Yeah, it's a bit
disturbing.
disturbing is the word.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the word I'm looking for.
Scarlett was now watching documentaries about serial killers, and she was taking notes. So she was fascinated with like Jeffrey Dahmer, Richard
Richard who?
Ramirez. How the hell do you pronounce that?
Ramirez.
The Night Stalker.
I don't know
Richard
who it is.
Ramirez.
Ramirez.
I don't know.
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy and Harold Shipman. And like, yes, I get that, you know, to watch documentaries about these people, but taking notes, that's a bit much.
Yeah, definitely.
And she also used the Tor browser to access videos of torture and murder on the dark web. So this kid knew how to get onto the dark web. I would have no idea how to get on the dark web. I wouldn't want to get onto the dark web.
No, I do wonder, like, I mean, I don't ever want to,
No.
but I'm like, how do you find that out? Like,
Yeah, exactly. How would anybody find out? Never mind a child.
well, exactly, like, how do you come across that? How do you find somebody that tells you? Or where, I mean, is there somewhere you search that online and, I don't know, I mean, because I've never come across anything that would tell me that that's, like, the dark web or whatever.
No, I'm actually glad I haven't, because it's not something that I would want to go on.
Absolutely
But yeah,
not.
I mean, like, she was only 15, and she was accessing the dark web. And she told Eddie that she had found a good red room. So a red room is on the dark web where users can watch live murder and torture.
Okay.
So this is the kind of material that traumatizes even police officers. So how the hell a 15-year-old can watch it and enjoy it is beyond me. You've got to have serious problems if grown-ass adults that are police and see often horrendous, horrific things, and they have to watch, sometimes they have to watch this kind of material, and it traumatizes them. They have to go to therapy and everything. So how the hell can a 15-year-old watch it
I know.
and enjoy it?
Yeah.
So,
I know people have an interest in true crime, obviously, like we do.
yeah, but we don't want to watch it live.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
So it was when she was 15 that Scarlett met Brianna in the inclusion room at school. So Brianna was there because she suffered with social anxiety, but I'm assuming Scarlett was there because of behavioural problems, like since she was expelled from her last school.
Yeah.
So the two girls struck up a friendship when Brianna complimented Scarlett on her makeup one day, and Scarlett messaged Eddie to tell him about her new friend.
Okay.
So just before I read the text, just to let you know that these are their words, they're their quotes, not my words. But I felt I had to include them just so we can have an idea what was going on in these kids' minds. But yeah, I wouldn't say stuff like this. Don't want anybody to think that I'm saying nasty things.
No.
So
You're literally quoting something.
yes,
that
I
is
am
public.
I'm quoting them. So Scarlett said, quote, "I'm obsessed over someone I know, but I don't have feelings for them. She's called Brianna. I don't know how to explain. Also, she has a dick, LOL." So Eddie replied, quote, "Is it a femboy or a tranny?" Now, because he called Brianna an it, That's transphobic.
Yeah.
So, how could you call anybody an it? I don't get that. That's absolutely horrendous.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what somebody's gender is, you just don't call them an it.
I just find that quite rude, actually.
It is,
Like,
it's really
to say
rude.
Because, you know, like, sometimes when, in life, where people have said, oh, what's it called? Or, you know, like, you know, I just find it rude. Just like...
It is rude. Like, I have friends, or sort of, well, they were a couple, and quite often the guy would call her it, and I just and I would tell him off. I'd be like, no, you don't speak. No matter what that person has done, he's had an argument, he's a fellow. No,
Yeah, it's a bit rude.
It's a horrible way, and so yeah. So he went on to say, quote, "Tell me how you feel when you interact with it."
Okay.
Scarlett replied, quote, "I got nervous and stuff, but my heart felt normal." Eddie said, quote, "I don't think you're necessarily in love, but I think you're more curious and intrigued by its unnatural nature." And Scarlett said, quote, "She's really different." So at least she had the decency to call Brianna a she.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Eddie... So in early 2023, Scarlett and Eddie, they'd compiled a kill list of people that they wanted to murder. So these are lovely people. Definitely. So there was a boy who Eddie called a nonce, a boy who Scarlett said had told teachers that she'd been taking LSD, and two people who had been horrible to her boyfriend, and they would have detailed conversations about how they would kill them.
Right.
And in January, Scarlett tried to lure one of those boys to his death. She set up an Instagram account so that she could make friends with him, and then she was going to get close to him and kill him. Mm-hmm. But luckily for that boy, he didn't take the bait, and he actually blocked her on social media. So
just as well.
Yeah. And the last person on the list was Brianna. One of Eddie's messages read, quote, "I want to see if it will scream like that, like I want to see if it will scream like that of a man or a girl." Sorry, I missed a word out there. So yeah, he wanted to see if she would scream like a man or a girl, which is
that's just
absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
So it's thought that the reason that Brianna was on the list was simply because she thought that Scarlett was her friend, she trusted her, and she would agree to meet her in a secluded place, you know, or whatever, because she would never dream that Scarlett would want to hurt her because she was her friend. Mm-hmm. So they decided they were going to go ahead with it. So this wasn't just fantasy about killing someone. They were going to kill Brianna.
Right.
So on the 27th of January, Scarlett asked Brianna to meet her at Colchester Linear Library, and they were going to go to the park as she had some cocaine, so they were going to try it together. So that's what she'd said to her. "I've got drugs. Come on, we're going to experiment."
Yeah.
So Scarlett messaged Eddie and told him that Brianna had agreed to meet her. So he asked, quote, "Should I bring my knife?" And Scarlett replied, quote, "Yes, it's definitely sharp enough, by the way." So because he'd recently bought a hunting knife in Bulgaria, because he'd been on holiday with his family and he'd bought a hunting knife. So he'd obviously shown it to Scarlett at some point. She's like, "Yeah, that's definitely sharp enough to do the job."
And he was able to get it back?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So she told him, "Meet me at the park at 12 and we will go over the plan again and I'll show you where I'm killing her." And then we'll both walk to the library to meet her, and then she went on to tell Eddie to slit Brianna's throat, presumably when they got to the park. Mm-hmm. And she then said, quote, "When she starts to fall, stab her in the back, then pass me the knife. I want to stab her at least once, even if she's dead, just because it's fun, LOL."
Lovely.
They then discussed code words to use when getting the knife ready and when to stab. Mm-hmm. So Scarlett, told Eddie that the code to tell him to get the knife ready, she was going to cough.
Right.
And when she wanted him to stab, she would say "gay."
Okay.
So they had it all planned out, but then Brianna texted Scarlett and told her she couldn't actually make it because she had to go out for a family dinner.
Right, okay.
So Scarlett was even more determined to kill Brianna after that. So she texted Eddie and said, "Right, let's kill her tomorrow night at 6. But he said he couldn't because it was a school night and he was revising for his GCSE mock exams. But Scarlett was like begging him, saying she wanted it done as soon as possible. Again, Eddie was saying like he couldn't because it was a school night, and Scarlett replied, quote, "I don't want to wait. I want her to die really badly. I just want to see pure horror on her face and hear her scream in pain." Oh, I know.
That's just...
Eddie wouldn't give in. Like, he wasn't going out that night, and that was that. But a few days later, Scarlett sent Eddie a handwritten note detailing her plan, and the date for the murder she wrote was Saturday the 11th of February 2023. She had written out step by step what time they were meeting, where they would meet Brianna, you know, where and how they would murder her. Like,
God, she'd obviously put a lot of thought in it, hadn't
she definitely can't say it was a spur of the moment anyway.
No, definitely
it was definitely
not.
planned. So,
Absolutely.
One really bizarre conversation between Scarlett and Eddie read, Scarlett, "I'm excited about Saturday." Eddie, "Why?" Scarlett, "Brianna, remember?" Eddie, "Oh yeah." Scarlett, "Are you excited?" Eddie, "I forgot." Scarlett, "How?" Eddie, "Because I'm eating."
Okay.
So, obviously, Scarlett was really looking forward to it, and Eddie was more interested in his food. So, it makes me wonder whether he didn't actually really believe that they were going to go through with it.
Yeah, like maybe he didn't really want to do it, as you said, didn't believe it was going to happen. Maybe he thought it was just all talk.
Yeah,
so maybe he wasn't really engaging in the conversation. Like, he obviously wasn't being, like, she's like, "Oh, I'm excited," and he's just not giving her anything back because he's just like, "Yeah, this is just like,
It's not going to happen.
it's just this like stupid chit chat or whatever."
Because they have been talking about killing other people in the past, you know, so maybe he didn't actually think it was going to happen, or maybe he was just more interested in eating at the time, you know.
Maybe.
So on Friday the 10th of February, Scarlett messaged Brianna and asked if she wanted to go to the park the next day so that they could take some drugs. And Brianna agreed, and Scarlett said she would meet her at the library and they would walk to the park together. Eddie's mum dropped him off outside Sainsbury's at 12:43 that day, where he met Scarlett. At 12:45, Brianna left her house. She messaged her mum, because she wasn't at home at the time, to say that she was going out to meet Scarlett. She walked for 25 minutes to the railway station, which must have buses running from it as well, as she boarded a bus at 1:38pm. She texted her mum from the bus saying that she was really scared about being on the bus by herself because she's got anxiety.
Yeah.
So for her, this was actually a big thing, like actually going out and getting on public transport by herself, you know.
Yeah, but she obviously wanted to go out where what she thought was her friend, and wanted to make that effort, which, you know...
Which you think, oh, good for her, like, she's really making an effort, she's really, you know, got the confidence to go and do it, and look what's going to happen.
I know.
It's awful, isn't it?
It is absolutely awful.
So Scarlett met Brianna off the bus, and on the CCTV footage, you can see that Eddie is, like, hanging back a bit, so he's, like, sort of standing by a tree. The two girls have, you know, Brianna's got off the bus, Scarlett's met her, so they start walking on the street, and then Eddie sort of comes from behind the tree and walks up behind them, to catch up with them. So it kind of looks like, "Oh, hello, what are you doing here?" You know, like Eddie had never met Brianna before; they'd never met each other before, so it was as if he was just like, "Oh, hi Scarlett, my friend. What a coincidence to see you here." You know, so it wasn't. Brianna didn't know that it was planned. And obviously, it's been like, "Oh, Eddie, do you want to come to the park with us?" That kind of thing. So, the three of them walked to the park, and inside the park, they walked about 10-15 minutes to a bench where they had decided that they were going to kill Brianna. So Scarlett was pretending to be messaging someone on Snapchat to get the drugs, and she must have gone off pretending to meet the person, because at 3:06pm, Brianna texts Scarlett saying, "Girl, where are you?" So she obviously must have went
off.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Eddie must have went with her.
Right, okay.
Because she was texting, I don't know. And Brianna actually texted one of her friends saying, quote, "Scarlett is so weird, girl, I think she's pretending to have a dealer." So she kind of obviously felt a bit suspicious, like...
that maybe she was just... she's trying to act cool and...
Yeah.
have these drugs, and actually she's not got these drugs at all, and, you know, she's going to come back with some excuse or something like that they've not got them, so yeah.
Soon after, Brianna was attacked with the hunting knife. A wee while later, a husband and wife were walking their dogs through the park, and they were quite a distance away, but they could see something lying on the ground, and they could see a boy was, like, crouched over and there was a girl standing nearby. So as they got a bit closer, Eddie and Scarlett realised that they'd been spotted, because obviously that's what the man and woman could see.
Yeah.
So they started to run away. And at one point, Scarlett stopped running, she turned round and she just stared at the woman. And the woman just said later that she found that, like, really unnerving, like, actually quite...
Sorry.
Actually quite frightening. So the couple got even closer and realised what the boy had been crouching over was a young girl who was covered in blood. So the wife called 999 and told the operator that the girl was in an unnatural contorted position on some steps. Like, her coat and her back was covered in blood. She was face down and she couldn't tell if she was breathing or not, but she did think that she was dead. I think maybe with the amount of blood and whatnot. So by 3:25pm, a police officer was on the scene and tried giving Brianna CPR before the paramedics arrived. And all in all, they tried for over 40 minutes to revive her, but at 4:02pm, Brianna was pronounced dead. Scarlett and Eddie had fled. They dropped Brianna's phone down a drain near Scarlett's house, and then Scarlett walked to her house and Eddie got a bus to his house. As soon as the murder was being reported on, Scarlett and Eddie were online sending each other, like, news articles and acting like they didn't know about it. So, like, Scarlett said in one message, quote, "My brother just told me not to go to Linear Park because a woman got stabbed." And Eddie replied, quote, "Jesus, really? Holy crap." So they must have been thinking, oh, if our messages get read.
It would sound like we'd have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, so Scarlett also sent a message to Brianna's phone asking why she had ditched them at the park. So they're obviously just trying to cover their tracks. And I'm assuming that they didn't realise that if police started asking questions, they would be able to retrieve the deleted messages and see all the planning that had been done for the past few weeks. So she sent Brianna a few messages like, "Are you okay?" And telling her that someone was stabbed in the park, and then she asked her, why did you ditch us for some random man from Manchester? Like, what the fuck? That is so fucked up. So, you know, she's just
trying to make it out like there was somebody else there.
So later, Scarlett messaged Eddie asking him if he had anxiety about getting caught, and he replied, "Probably." This guy sounds like he just doesn't give a fuck about it, eh? It's like, whatever.
Probably, whatever.
She told him not to worry, that they wouldn't get caught because the police are shite here.
Okay then.
So the police started investigating straight away. There was 2 fizzy drink bottles that were found at the scene, so they were taken away for testing. The following day, a post-mortem was carried out on Brianna. She had been stabbed 28 times.
Jesus.
12 of which indicated that she'd been attacked from behind, and she'd been stabbed across her head, neck, chest and back, and the deepest wound was 5 inches deep. The attack was described as extremely brutal and punishing. So police had seen the CCTV of Brianna with Scarlett and Eddie, but they still had to identify them because they're like, oh, there's Brianna with this, a male and a female, we don't know who they are. Scarlett had told her mum that she had been at the park with Brianna, but Brianna had gone off to meet a 17-year-old boy from Manchester. Then her and Eddie had hung around for a while, went to Sainsbury's and then went home. So her mum called the police and made Scarlett tell them what she told her. So within an hour of that call, Scarlett messaged Eddie and told him to corroborate her version of events. So she told him word for word what she'd told the police, and told him to say the same when he was questioned. Scarlett then went online and posted a tribute to Brianna. Under a photo of Brianna, she wrote, quote, "Brianna was one of the best people I've ever met and such an amazing friend. It's so fucking sickening what got done to her," end quote. Like,
fucking hell, that's just ridiculous. How could she even write that knowing that she has inflicted...
that she done it. She knows exactly what happened. But the police obviously weren't that shite there, because that same night, police went to Scarlett's house and Eddie's house and they were both arrested. So...
Yeah, as bad as you thought.
They're not that shite.
No.
At the police station, Scarlett stuck to her story about Brianna going off to meet a boy, but Eddie told them something completely different. He said that they had went to the park and he had left the 2 girls because he needed a pee, so he went up behind a tree, went for a pee, And then came back. When he came back, he saw Scarlett stabbing Brianna.
Okay. So he was like, I'm just going to chuck her under the bus now.
Definitely. So he said, quote, I went over to Brianna to see if she was alive. I put my hands on her to see if she was breathing, but I got blood on my hands. I panicked and ran, end quote. So officers searched their houses and they found the hunting knife in Eddie's wardrobe. And when they tested it, it shows that they had traces of Brianna's blood on it. And in Scarlett's bedroom, they found the plan that she had written with step-by-step instructions of how they were going to kill Brianna.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, they're not exactly masterminds, are they?
Thank goodness they weren't.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, well, I say that in terms of for them getting caught. I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. So in the lead up to the trial, both Scarlett and Eddie were assessed. Scarlett was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, anxiety and autism, and Eddie was also diagnosed with autism and was displaying high levels of social anxiety. His verbal communication was also now limited, and he was diagnosed with selective mutism and would only speak to his mum.
all right.
So the trial started at Manchester Crown Court on the 27th of November 2023, and because Scarlett and Eddie were only 15 at the time, reporting restrictions were put in place preventing the naming of them both. So at the time, they were only known as Girl X and Boy Y.
Right.
So the trial lasted for 3 weeks and they were both found guilty of murder. The sentencing hearing was held on the 12th of February 2024, and the judge decided to lift the anonymity.
Anonymity.
It's not.
Is it not?
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
It's not anonymity, it's anonymity. That's
right.
it. Anonymity. Order. They decided to name them.
Yeah.
I should have just said that. They decided to name them both. They were going to be in prison for a long time, so naming them at 16 rather than 18, which is, usually it's 18, but it really didn't matter because they were going to be in prison anyway, so that's why they lifted it.
Mm-hmm.
Scarlett Jenkinson's sentence was to be detained at His Majesty's pleasure with a minimum of 22 years, and Eddie Radcliffe to be detained at His Majesty's pleasure with a minimum of 20 years. The judge described the murder as, quote, sadistic in nature, and referred to Eddie, she said, quote, where a secondary motive was hostility towards Brianna because of her transgender identity, end quote. So they kind of class it as a hate crime because, with him, because he obviously had the transphobia, so yeah, you could say it was a hate crime with him, but with Scarlett, she didn't seem to have an issue with Brianna being transgender. She just wanted to kill somebody and found somebody who trusted her, so I don't think it would have mattered what Brianna's gender was, what the situation was there. I think she would have
just wanted to kill somebody.
I don't think it was a hate crime against her. I think it was just she wanted to kill somebody and that was the person that she found. So that awful, absolutely awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awful.
So thank you to everybody for listening.
I was just going to say,
sorry,
before you finish, because I have heard of this case, but I'm assuming, I don't know whether you didn't know or you did, but yeah, Brianna's mother and Scarlett's mother have since obviously kind of they're helping Scarlett's mum is helping Brianna's mum bring awareness
and stuff. I think they've done
which actually is really good, because I think obviously I've seen a few interviews with Brianna's mum, and for what she's obviously gone through and it being her daughter, she did show a lot of compassion towards Scarlett's family, like for their mum and dad, because at the end of the day
well, they didn't do it, but you can understand why they wouldn't want to have anything to do with them, because it's like your kid killed my kid kind of thing. So that to me shows a lot of compassion and a lot of strength to be able to even speak to the killer's family, never mind actually do things to raise awareness or whatever.
I think they've become I don't want to say friends in a strong friendship, but they've obviously got this common ground, and they are trying to obviously do some good with it by, as I said, raising awareness and stuff stuff. And it must be difficult because I'm sure Scarlett's mum probably feels so guilty
Yeah,
for what her
of
daughter's
course.
done. But, you know...
But good on her for trying not to make amends, because obviously she can't do anything to change what happened.
No.
But she is...
I mean, in a way, she's obviously lost her daughter in a sense as well. Obviously not in the physical sense where Scarlett's died, but she has lost her daughter because she's now in prison and will be for at least 22 years, maybe even longer. But yeah, I just thought it was really nice that something was,
They're doing something good. They're trying to do something good out of such a tragedy.
I said, I've heard Brianna's mum speak on many occasions in interviews, and she's just so humble and just, sometimes I think, my God, like, how can you do that? Like, how can
What a woman.
What a woman,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? What strength she's actually got to, see past the fact that, yes, Scarlett and obviously Eddie as well, they've committed this horrific crime, but she's not held it against the parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's
Yeah.
not... She's,
Which would be so easy to do.
well, yeah, and you could understand why. So, hopefully they can continue to, bring awareness and prevent something as tragic as that happening again.
Yeah, I know. It's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.